Hello friends, so today I am going to explain a story of a girl who has a very weird kind of hatred as she absolutely cannot stand handsome boys. In her mind, they are unbearably arrogant creatures who walk around believing they are superior to everyone else. But what happens when the same girl, despite all that hatred, starts developing feelings for a ridiculously handsome idol? The situation becomes both complicated and fascinating. So the story begins with a girl named Sheena who had a deep dislike for handsome boys. She had come to a temple with her friend who was busy watching a video on her phone. The video featured a music group called Like Legend, a band that had recently taken Japan by storm. Their popularity was exploding everywhere. People were crazy about their singing and dancing, and their fan following seemed to grow by the minute. Among all the members, the group's leader, named Kato, was the most famous, and Sheena's friend enthusiastically kept telling her all about him, but hearing all that praise made Sheena's patience evaporate. With visible irritation, she scolded her friend and urged her to stop glorifying them. She insisted that these boys were only famous because of their looks. According to her, the world admired them simply because they were attractive, and in real life they were probably arrogant and unpleasant people. Her friend tried to calm her down and gently suggested that she shouldn't hate handsome boys so blindly. After all, not everyone was the same. The truth was that Sheena's hatred had a reason rooted in the past. Back in her school days, she had once fallen for a very handsome classmate. He had been her crush, the kind that made her heart race every time he entered the classroom. Summoning all her courage, she had written him a love letter and handed it to him, secretly hoping that he would finally start noticing her. But what happened next shattered her completely. Instead of responding kindly, that boy turned her feelings into a joke. He posted her love letter online and mocked her publicly, sneering that someone like her dared to like him and wondering if she had no shame at all. Hearing those cruel words from the boy she liked broke her heart into pieces. To make matters worse, her classmates began laughing at her too, and she became the subject of endless teasing in school. That humiliation left a deep scar. From that day onward, Sheena made a firm decision that she would never fall for a handsome boy again. In fact, she would stay as far away as possible from every good-looking man in the world. That belief still lived inside her even in the present day. So whenever she saw posters or videos of handsome idols, she couldn't help but curse them under her breath. Standing in front of the temple with her friend, she angrily declared that such people didn't deserve true love and that life should trap them in endless problems forever. After many days, Sheena was working at a small restaurant where she helps her aunt. The television in the restaurant is playing a segment about the band Like Legend. During the interview, Kaido cheerfully explains that their dream is to spread love all over the world through their music. Sheena hears this and instantly makes a face, muttering that the universe should kindly keep such people far away from her. But fate clearly had other plans. Something happens next that Sheena could never have imagined, not even in her wildest dreams. The restaurant door opens, and none other than Kaido, the most famous member of Like Legend, walks inside. Sheena freezes in shock. Just a few minutes ago, she had been watching this guy on television, and now he was standing right in front of her in real life. The reason for his visit was surprisingly simple. Apparently, he used to come to this restaurant during his childhood, so he had decided to stop by again. Recovering from her surprise, Sheena politely welcomes him and brings him a glass of water. Up close, Kaido looks even more handsome than he does on TV, and that fact irritates her immensely. She begins mentally scolding herself, warning that she must not fall into the trap of his looks. Meanwhile, Kaido casually starts placing his order. Sheena suddenly remembers that her friend is a huge fan of his. Thinking about that, she decides to get an autograph for her friend. When she approaches him with the request, Kaido assumes she must be one of his fans, and he happily begins signing an autograph. While Sheena stands there making an unimpressed face, Kaido hands her the autograph and then, without warning, lightly kisses her on the forehead while thanking her for supporting him. For a moment, Sheena's brain simply stops working. Her face turns bright red, as if someone has switched on a glowing light bulb inside her head. Then she quickly steps back and protests that she isn't his fan at all. She explains that the autograph was only for her friend and scolds him angrily for being so shameless as to kiss her forehead. Kaido looks at her with mild confusion and repeats that she doesn't like him. Sheena firmly confirms it, and that answer fascinates him. With a curious expression, he admits that this is the first time he has ever met a girl who doesn't like him. Then he calmly announces that from now on, he will take full responsibility. Sheena stares at him, completely baffled, wondering what on earth he means by responsibility. Kaito explains that he will work even harder from now on so that he can win her heart. Since he has already kissed her forehead, he says with a confident smile that she will eventually remember him with good feelings. In other words, he seems convinced that she will end up liking him. Hearing this outrageous logic makes Sheena furious. She cannot believe the nonsense coming out of his mouth. In her mind, he clearly thinks that just because he is handsome, he can do whatever he wants. Angrily, she demands to know who he thinks he is, speaking such ridiculous things in front of her. She warns him that he can write it down somewhere if he wants, because she will never fall into the trap of his beauty. She adds that she will never become his fan either, and calls him a strange monkey while glaring at him. Honestly, if confidence were electricity, this girl could probably power half the city without a generator. Hearing all this has an unexpected effect on Kaido. Instead of arguing, he suddenly starts crying. Apparently, he had become a little frightened of Sheena's fierce anger. Seeing the famous idol standing there with watery eyes instantly makes Sheena panic too. She begins wondering nervously whether she might have scared him a bit too much. Later that evening, Sheena is talking to her friend about everything that happened. Her friend is shocked and excited at the same time, asking if she really met Kaido and whether she actually got his autograph. The friend then teasingly declares that Sheena must have started liking him now. Sheena quickly denies it, insisting that she didn't find anything special about him, but her friend keeps pushing, suggesting that there must have been something she liked about him, something that felt a little different. Hearing that question makes Sheena remember the moment he kissed her forehead. Once again, her face turns red, as if her emotions are staging a surprise fireworks show. Embarrassed and flustered, she quickly ends the call. After that, she takes out a notebook she keeps for writing down her thoughts and begins pouring out her frustrations onto the pages. She writes that handsome boys are extremely clever. They know exactly how close they should get to someone in order to trap that person in a web of love, only to break their heart later for amusement. According to her, behind their charming smiles hides a dangerous face. She firmly writes that she will never fall into their traps. Then she continues filling page after page with complaints about handsome boys until her heart finally feels lighter. The next day, when she returns to the restaurant for work, she is stunned by what she sees. Kaido is there again. This time, he is playing cheerfully with a small child sitting nearby. Under the sunlight, his already handsome face seems to shine even brighter, and that shine practically pokes Sheena in the eyes like an annoying spotlight she never asked for. Seeing her arrive, Kaido looks slightly embarrassed and apologizes sincerely, admitting that he shouldn't have kissed her forehead the previous day. Sheena eventually forgives Kaido, and the moment she does, he lights up with excitement as though someone has just handed him the happiest news of the year. With cheerful enthusiasm, he declares that he has brought something special to turn her into a fan of his band. Then he begins placing things one by one on the table, first a stack of albums, then several more items until the surface is almost covered. He proudly explains that the entire collection is for her and insists that she should keep it all. On top of that, he announces that he is also giving her free tickets so she can attend his concert with her family and watch the performance without spending a single penny. His hope is simple. Once she sees him and his group performing live, she might finally start liking them. However, Sheena remains unimpressed. Noticing that his grand gesture hasn't had the magical effect he expected, Kaido suddenly asks whether she has a boyfriend. The question instantly irritates her, and she snaps back that she doesn't need a boyfriend at all. In fact, she proudly declares that she plans to stay single for the rest of her life. Hearing this bold declaration, Kaido quietly realizes that something painful must have happened to her in the past, something that shaped her cynical view of relationships. Trying to comfort her, he gently explains that everyone faces problems in life, but the important thing is to forget the painful parts quickly and focus on moving forward. His tone is calm and sincere, and the seriousness in his voice surprises Sheena a little, because it sounds as though he truly means every word. As time passes, Kaito begins visiting the restaurant almost every day. Sometimes he entertains the restaurant owner's little daughter by reading her stories, and occasionally he becomes so emotional while reading that he ends up tearing up himself. At other times, he sits quietly trying to memorize his scripts, and more than once, he accidentally falls asleep right there at the table while practicing his lines. Gradually, he becomes friendly with the regular customers, chatting with them and happily taking photos together. One day, however, a drunken uncle bluntly remarks that Kaito is only an idol because of his good looks. Instead of getting angry, Kaito politely thanks the man and smiles as if he has heard a compliment. But later he sits alone looking a little sad. Seeing this makes Sheena feel uncomfortable, so she walks up to him and suggests that he should forget what the uncle said. Kaito calmly explains that his only wish is to spread love in the world, and he truly doesn't understand why some people hate him so much. Still, he keeps trying his best to win their hearts because his single goal is to bring a smile to everyone's face. Sheena listens to him and feels genuinely surprised. For the first time in her life, she realizes that Kaito might be the first handsome boy she has met whose thinking is completely different from all the others. The next day, Sheena delivers a food order that has been placed by someone, although she doesn't know the customer yet. When the door opens, she is stunned to see one of the members of the Like Legend group standing there. Her surprise grows even bigger when Kaito himself suddenly appears in front of her. The shock is so intense that she nearly drops the food she is holding. Soon after, Sheena finds herself inside Kaito's apartment because Kaito had requested that she cook something there instead of bringing food from the restaurant, explaining that it would take too long otherwise. Sheena plans to quietly cook the meal and leave without creating any unnecessary drama, but things quickly become awkward. Kaito suddenly steps closer to her and declares in a dramatic tone that today he won't let her leave anywhere. Sheena's heart jumps in surprise, and she becomes so nervous that her face starts feeling hot. Her mind begins racing in confusion, but Kaito suddenly bursts out laughing and reveals that he was only practicing a line from the script for his upcoming miniseries. At that moment, Sheena silently continues cooking while trying to calm her thoughts. While moving around the apartment, her eyes fall on a photograph of Kaito's mother. Curious, she asks if he lives there with his mother. Kaito quietly replies that his mother has already passed away and that she never got the chance to see his success, something he still regrets deeply. In another photograph, he appears with a girl, and he casually mentions that she is a close friend. However, Sheena immediately suspects that the girl must actually be his girlfriend. Soon the meal is ready, and Kaito absolutely loves it. He praises her cooking skills enthusiastically, complimenting the taste again and again until Sheena begins to feel slightly embarrassed. Later, while walking home, Sheena keeps thinking about the girl in the photograph and becomes convinced that she must be Kaito's girlfriend. Just then, fate plays another cruel trick. She runs into her high school crush, the same boy who once mocked her love letter and posted it online, and he hasn't changed at all. The moment he sees her, he begins laughing loudly while telling his friends about the incident from years ago. Soon his friends join in, teasing her and asking whether she had forgotten her place when she dared to like someone like him. Hearing those words drags Sheena straight back into the painful memories of her school days. Just as the situation becomes unbearable, Kaito suddenly appears beside her and casually wraps an arm around her shoulder, acting as though she is his girlfriend. Everyone watching becomes shocked, and the group instantly stops laughing. Holding her hand, Kaito calmly leads her away from the crowd. Both of them start running because people nearby are staring at them. Strangely, despite the chaos, Sheena feels oddly happy at that moment. After running for quite a while, they finally stop to catch their breath. Kaito returns something to her that she had dropped earlier, and he had actually come to give it back after noticing how those boys were laughing at her. He explains that he only pretended she was his girlfriend so that she wouldn't be humiliated. Hearing this makes Sheena deeply grateful for his help. When she returns home, she starts watching Kaito's music videos and miniseries. This time, she isn't drawn to him because of his looks, but because of his kind nature. Slowly, she realizes that she has begun to like him. However, she makes a firm decision to keep those feelings hidden and promises herself that she will never let Kaito discover them. Meanwhile, the band Like Legend becomes more and more famous. Their videos gain massive popularity, and people everywhere begin sharing and supporting their content. One day, the news announces that Like Legend has been invited to perform at a huge music festival, an opportunity that had always been the group's dream. Hearing this news makes Sheena extremely happy, yet it also brings a small sadness because she assumes that Kaido will no longer have time to visit the restaurant. Soon after, however, she receives a phone call. Kaido asks her to bring food to his entertainment company building. When she arrives there, she finds a large crowd of fans gathered outside. The security guards stop her at first, but when she explains that she has come to deliver food, they allow her to enter. Standing outside the entertainment building leaves her completely amazed. Everywhere she looks, she sees famous idols, people she had previously only seen on television. Even inside the elevator, she spots a very famous idol, and she feels thrilled just to see them so closely. It almost feels surreal, like she has accidentally walked into the backstage of a dream. Finally, she reaches the room where the members of Like Legend are staying. Kaido opens the door with visible excitement, clearly happy to see Sheena after such a long time. Inside the room, the team's costumes are laid out, and Sheena admires them with fascination. While looking at a photograph of Kaito, she absent-mindedly murmurs that he really is very handsome. Kaito immediately hears her comment and walks closer with a playful smile, asking with curiosity who she is talking about and whether she was referring to him. Sheena quickly changes the topic and explains that she had actually been talking about Kanado, another member of the group. Almost at the same moment, Kanado also walks into the room and casually asks whether they were discussing him. Soon, the rest of the members begin arriving one after another, all of them checking their costumes and chatting among themselves. Surrounded by so many ridiculously handsome idols, Sheena finds herself standing there in silent panic. Honestly, being surrounded by that many attractive idols at once would make even a calm person forget their own name. A little later, Kaido begins introducing Sheena to the group. The members greet her warmly and explain that they have heard about her many times from Kaido. Kanado then steps forward with playful curiosity and asks if it is true that he is her favorite member. Sheena nervously says yes, but Kanato immediately begins teasing her, complaining that she should have chosen him as her favorite instead. He proudly insists that she ought to become his fan because he already knows her quite well. While speaking, he leans so close to her that Sheena becomes flustered and accidentally drops everything she is holding. Among the scattered items lies her diary, which Kanato quietly notices. Later, during the band's shooting stage interview, Kanado returns Sheena's diary to her. She looks stunned, wondering how it ended up in his hands. He calmly explains that he read it and now understands that she does not like him, but actually has feelings for Kaido. With surprising seriousness, he advises her to confess those feelings to Kaido before it becomes too late. He warns that people like Kaido, handsome and constantly surrounded by admirers, might begin dating someone else one day, and if that happens, her heart will suffer deeply. Kanado gently adds that she should not live with regrets in her heart, and that she must tell Kaito how she truly feels. Meanwhile, a music video for Like Legend is being filmed. The crew has ordered food, so Sheena arrives to deliver it. Unfortunately, the director is frustrated because the members are struggling to deliver romantic dialogue convincingly in front of the camera. But suddenly, someone gets an idea and places Sheena in front of them as a stand-in. What happens next is both chaotic and hilarious. One by one, each idol begins delivering romantic lines directly to Sheena because speaking to her feels more comfortable than acting in front of the camera. However, hearing all those dramatic confessions aimed at her leaves Sheena so embarrassed that she can barely breathe. Her face turns red, her nerves completely collapse, and the situation becomes so overwhelming that even her glasses break under the pressure. If embarrassment had a volume button, hers would have been turned all the way to maximum. Later, the director personally thanks Sheena for helping them complete the scene, explaining that the entire shoot would have failed without her assistance. After everyone leaves, Sheena stands alone in front of a small picture of Kaido and begins quietly talking to it as though it were him. At first, she simply praises him happily, thinking about how kind and wonderful he is. But gradually, her emotions spill out, and she confesses that she has started liking him a lot. Suddenly, she hears a voice behind her. Kaido has been standing there the entire time and has heard everything. Both of them freeze in shock. Sheena immediately panics, realizing that he might have overheard her confession. Nervously, she asks whether he heard everything. Instead of answering right away, Kaido smiles awkwardly. Embarrassed beyond measure, Sheena tries to run away because she never wanted him to discover her feelings. But the truth has already come out. Kaido stops her gently and explains that he actually came only to thank her for helping during the shoot. He insists that he had no intention of scaring her or listening to her private thoughts. Then he speaks with calm sincerity, saying that he respects her feelings deeply because she is an important friend to him. He admits that he likes her too, but only as a friend. Hearing those words breaks Sheena's heart. She asks whether he is rejecting her simply because he is an idol. Kaido shakes his head and explains that the real reason is different. He has made a promise to himself that he will never give the special place in his heart to anyone else. With those words, he quietly walks away, leaving Sheena standing there in silence. Her heart shatters, yet she already knew this might happen once her feelings were revealed. Sometime later, Sheena finds herself missing Kaido terribly. One day, she overhears a group of girls discussing a scandal involving him. Curious and worried, she checks her phone and is shocked by what she sees. News has spread everywhere claiming that Kaido once rejected a girl and that the girl later committed suicide. The rumor spreads at lightning speed across the internet, and people begin flooding social media with hateful comments. Many start accusing him harshly, and the media makes his life extremely difficult. Some television programs even begin demanding that he should be removed from the group like Legend. Hearing all this makes Sheena deeply upset because she cannot believe these accusations. Soon after, a delivery boy arrives at her place, but it turns out the delivery boy is actually Kanado in disguise, secretly bringing Kaido along with him. He explains that Kaido cannot stay at the agency anymore because angry people are targeting him, and it is no longer safe there. He requests Sheena to hide Kaido in her house for a few days. After a moment of hesitation, Sheena agrees. At first, there is an awkward silence between them, but eventually she tells him that he can stay comfortably in her home and should let her know if he needs anything. Kaido thanks her sincerely. Meanwhile, back at the company, the other members are extremely worried about him. When the director arrives, he sadly announces that today's show has been canceled. The members are devastated because the growing hatred is affecting not only Kaido, but the entire group like Legend. Back at Sheena's house, an unexpected situation occurs. Sheena is in the bathroom when Kaido accidentally opens the door. The sudden intrusion creates an incredibly awkward moment between them. Sheena is so shocked that she cannot even respond. Kaido immediately apologizes and begins saying that he should leave the house, but Sheena quickly stops him, reminding him that going outside is not safe right now. She then asks curiously why he came into the bathroom in the first place. Kaido sheepishly explains that he was looking for a thermometer because he has a fever. When Sheena checks his forehead, she realizes that his temperature is extremely high. Worried, she begins taking care of him carefully, although Kaido feels guilty for causing her trouble. While resting, he hesitantly asks whether she also believes the rumors spreading about him. Sheena immediately shakes her head and says that she knows him well enough now to trust him. She insists that he is a good person and could never force someone to commit suicide. Hearing that she believes in him fills Kaido with quiet relief. He then begins sharing the story behind the girl in the photograph that Sheena once saw in his apartment. Her name was Rei, and she had grown up with him in the same building. They had been childhood friends who supported each other through every difficulty. When Kaito lost his mother, Rei stood beside him and gave him the courage to continue living. As the years passed, their friendship grew deeper, and Rei became the person who supported his dream of becoming an idol more than anyone else. They shared every happiness and every struggle together, and eventually they began developing feelings for each other. However, everything changed after Kaito became an idol. His schedule became so busy that he barely had time to communicate with her. Their conversations slowly faded, and sometimes he could not even reply to her messages. In truth, Kaito had been waiting for the right moment because he wanted to propose marriage to her directly. But before that moment could come, he received devastating news. Rei had died in a car accident. Kaido was completely shattered. The regret of not meeting her one last time haunted him deeply because, in many ways, she had been the only family he had left. Still, he remembered her words encouraging him to keep making people smile, and that memory gave him the strength to continue his idol career and give his best. Sheena listens to his story with stunned silence. Finally, Kaido explains that the special place in his heart still belongs only to Rei, and he cannot give that place to anyone else. Now everything makes sense to Sheena. She gently says that she hopes his life will someday return to happiness again. The next day, news spreads that because of the intense wave of hatred surrounding Kaito, the accounts of all Like Legend members have been suspended, and their upcoming shows have been cancelled. The entire group is suffering as the storm of negative comments continues to grow. The members were deeply worried and kept saying that once Kaito returned, he would stand before everyone and reveal the truth himself. However, at the moment, nobody outside the group seemed willing to trust them. Meanwhile, Sheena did not tell anyone where Kaito was hiding because she believed that revealing anything before he fully recovered would only make things worse. A couple of days passed quietly, and Kaito's health slowly began to improve. One morning, while serving him breakfast, Sheena spoke gently and explained that she had finally understood how deeply he and Rei had loved each other, and how he had once planned to propose to her in the future. She added that although fate had not allowed that dream to come true, he should stop blaming himself for what happened. With calm sincerity, she reminded him that he himself had once told her that people must keep moving forward in life no matter how painful the past may be. Hearing those words brought a small smile to Kaito's face, but the moment he checked his phone, his expression changed. Only then did he discover the full extent of the crisis surrounding him. He saw the news about the canceled shows, the angry comments spreading everywhere, and the growing calls demanding that he be removed from the group. Realizing how serious the situation had become, he immediately decided that he had to leave and fix things himself. Before leaving, however, he sincerely thanked Sheena for taking care of him during his illness. As he stepped out, Sheena quietly wished that everything in his life would soon return to normal. Days continued to pass. Sheena began sending food to Kaito regularly, and along with every meal, she included a small motivational note. Each note carried encouraging words telling him that he was not alone and that people still supported him, urging him to stay strong and never give up. Kaito would read those notes and feel a little happier each time. Meanwhile, Sheena herself began taking action. She started wearing a mask and loudly cheering for Like Legend in public places, shouting words of encouragement and telling them to keep moving forward instead of giving up. People around her were confused and curious because no one could recognize who the mysterious masked girl was. In fact, the mask made her look less like a secret supporter and more like someone who had accidentally wandered out of a superhero audition. Soon, she began going to every place where Like Legend appeared, passionately cheering for them and repeating the same message again and again, telling them not to stop and to keep moving ahead no matter what. The next day, she arrived again to support them. Seeing her enthusiastic cheering, Kanato wondered aloud who the mysterious masked girl was who supported them more passionately than anyone else. Before long, videos of Sheena cheering for the group began spreading across the internet. When Kaito watched those videos, he recognized her instantly and felt touched, knowing that Sheena was standing by his side during such a difficult time. Later, the group gathered for an important meeting at the company. During the meeting, they were informed that the company planned to sponsor each member individually from now on. In simple terms, the group would be dissolved and everyone would perform solo instead. But the members immediately refused. They insisted that they had started their journey as a group and wanted to continue moving forward together as one team. Hearing this made Kaito feel guilty, and he apologized to everyone, believing that all the trouble had happened because of him. The other members quickly stopped him and told him to stop blaming himself because none of it was his fault. Later, when they came outside, Kaito appeared before the public again after a long time and greeted everyone with a polite hello. However, behind his smile, there was still a sadness that Sheena immediately noticed. At that moment, she removed her mask and began cheering loudly for him, shouting with all her strength that everyone loved him and believed he had done nothing wrong. She begged him not to lose courage and promised that they would always support him. Hearing her voice and seeing her determination made Kaido emotional. The other members were stunned to realize that the mysterious masked supporter was none other than Sheena. But the biggest shock came to Sheena's best friend, who had no idea that the girl who once criticized idols so harshly had now become their biggest fan. Kaido felt deeply moved by the overwhelming support around him, especially by Sheena's encouragement. As he left the place, she continued shouting loudly that he must never give up because everyone was standing with him. Soon after, another revelation came to light, and Kanato gave a letter to Kaito which had been written by Rei before her death and had been discovered and shared by her parents. The letter explained that she had always supported Kaito and believed in him. Reading those words made Kaito extremely emotional. In the letter, Rei had written that even though they could no longer talk or meet often, she was still happy whenever she saw him on television. She encouraged him to keep moving forward and reminded him never to feel alone because she would always be with him in spirit. As Kaido read the letter, tears began streaming down his face. Seeing him cry caused the other members to become emotional as well, and soon many of them were wiping away their own tears. Just then, they heard music coming from outside. When they looked out, they discovered something incredible. Almost every billboard in the area was displaying Like Legends videos, along with clips of fans sending messages of support. People were requesting that the group return and promising to stand by them. The members were overwhelmed with happiness. What they did not know was that Sheena had secretly arranged all of this using her savings. She had also been managing the group's fan page and had encouraged fans everywhere to create supportive videos. Later, Kaido called Sheena to meet him and thanked her sincerely for everything she had done. Sheena smiled and admitted that once upon a time she had hated him, but now she had become his biggest fan just as he had once jokingly wished. She also confessed that when he rejected her earlier, it had hurt her deeply. However, after learning about Rei and his past, she now sincerely wished that the special place in his heart would always belong to Rei. She told him that simply supporting him from a distance made her happy. Finally, she said that they should stop meeting each other because she did not want him to become involved in another scandal, and Kaido remained silent. Sheena said goodbye and walked away. Later, Kaido held a press conference where he revealed the entire truth. He told everyone about Rei, their relationship, and the tragic accident that took her life. He explained that he had never wanted to share such a personal story publicly, but he felt forced to do so because the controversy was harming not only him, but also his bandmates. He ended the conference by thanking all the people who had supported him. Gradually, the public began understanding the truth, and Kaido's reputation recovered. In fact, he started becoming even more famous than before. A few days later, Like Legend released a new song titled, "You Are Special." The song immediately began trending and quickly became a massive hit loved by fans everywhere. Sheena watched happily as Kaido regained his place in the spotlight, but she deleted his phone number so she could finally move on with her life. More days passed, and one day Sheena returned to the same temple where the story had first begun, the very place where she had once complained about handsome boys and insulted the group Like Legend. As she prepared to leave, she silently prayed to God and admitted that everything had turned out well, but she still wished that she could have been Kaido's special one. Thinking about him made tears fall from her eyes because she still missed him deeply. At that very moment, something miraculous happened. Kaido suddenly appeared beside her and pulled her into a hug. With heartfelt emotion, he explained that he did not want to repeat the same mistake he had made before. He confessed that he had started liking her because she had stood by him during his darkest days, supported him without hesitation, and never abandoned him. He admitted that without her support, he might have fallen into depression and done something terrible to himself. Because of everything she had done for him, he had also begun to love her. Sheena stared at him in disbelief and wondered if this was some kind of dream. Kaido assured her that it was completely real and that he was serious about making her his own. Then he gently asked whether she would like to become his special one. Sheena felt overwhelming happiness and immediately said yes. Kaido leaned closer and kissed her. Everything finally felt perfect, and the story of this movie finally came to an end.